On this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to skim coat your textured painted ceiling using a hawk and your 12-inch knife. So stay tuned. The ceiling that I'm going to be skim coating today is going to be located on my guest mini bathroom. So I'm going to be taking off this fan because I'm going to be replacing it anyway. So stay tuned for that video on how I replace that fan. And now I'm going to be dropping off the area really well. I just put on this flooring and I don't want to get all the joint compound and splatter all over the floor. So looking at this ceiling, you can see that I did start skim coating the walls and it went over on the edges of the existing ceiling already. So what I'm doing is touching it up, and you can see that this is kind of like orange peel. If you are dealing with popcorn, make sure that you do your proper asbestos checks before you even do this job. Now I'm not going to be using a bucket for this project. I'll be using my 13-inch pan. This is very helpful for many projects like these. I don't want to waste too much materials by mixing it on a big bucket. I want to save cleanup. Also, I'm going to be using this hawk, this 12-inch hawk, which is very helpful, which I'll show you in a bit. My 12-inch knife. I'll be using a 4-inch knife as well, just so I can scrape later on. I like using this mini mixer for paint, but I'll use it for the joint compound, which I'll be using right here, which is the taping light. I like this one because it's very light and it's not as heavy as the generic ones that I used before. Now all the tools that I'll be using on this project I'll leave on the description down below. Attach the mixer on this drill. We're going to be mixing it just like that. Take a little bit of your joint compound. Now if you have a bucket, use a bucket. This one I'll be using my 13-inch pan. It doesn't really matter. Now I only add a little bit of water at a time. Don't pour all the water in there. You want to mix it so that this will have a yogurt like consistency on it. After you mix it like this, you want to add little of water every time until you get the perfect mixture that you like. So it looks like I've got the right texture. Now I'm just going to be leaving my mixing bit inside the water just for easy cleanup. And as you can see, this is what it looks like on the texture. It kind of looks like yogurt. Now I really like using this hawk instead of just carrying my 13-inch pan, because the 13-inch pan is very heavy. I like using this 12-inch knife as well because it's light on the wrist and I can maneuver it way better with the motion that I'm doing. But it's totally up to you if you want to use a trowel. I like using this 12-inch knife and this hawk because it catches all the excess that might fall while I'm applying the joint compound, and it catches right on this 12-inch hawk. I'll leave this products on the link down below as well. Now I'm going to be putting a little bit of joint compound, and we're going to start off with my corner. First try, you just want to try to apply little by little on each area. Again, you don't want to go crazy all over the place because this joint compound does dry up. You want to tackle sections at a time, and then after you apply the joint compound on the area that you desire, you're going to run it on one direction to the next. So as you can see, I'm patching up the little tiny areas that I missed. You can see there's yellow on it. Now the trick to this is you want to handle your knife with a very light pressure. Again, you can either use a light pressure on one side and have a feathering motion on the other side, just like this. But I run it with very light pressure, and every time that I skim through one run, I scrape it off onto my hawk just so that I can get rid of the excess, just like this. And then I am applying it now on the midsection. Same technique. Again, this is not that hard. It just takes the hardest part is just trying to gauge the pressure that you want to use when you're running it, just like this. It just takes very light pressure, and every time that you do it, you want to take off the excess and scrape it off your hawk. You know, after a few practices and runs, you're gonna get used to the right pressure that's right for you. Again, I go to one direction and then I go to the other direction so that it covers every single crater that I might have left behind. There you have it. I am now just doing the other side now and finishing off the rest of the other side. Again, this is not a very big area of a ceiling, so that's why I only mixed the joint compound onto that 13-inch pan, because I really don't need that much. But for something huge, a big project, you want to mix it on a 5-gallon bucket. There you have it, friends. There's really nothing to it. Very easy to do. Anybody can do this. Again, it's a little tiring on the hand and arm and wrist. Just take necessary breaks when you're doing this and you can tackle it. Again, don't do it on a tired arm, because if you do it, you know, with an exhausted arm or wrist, you're gonna end up spending more time trying to fix your mistakes. Now I'm running this at one direction again and just scraping off the excess on the hawk. Now you don't have to cover it fully. You can see a little bit of yellow passing through the first coat, which is totally fine. Your main goal here is to cover up those bumpy little textures, and then if you're not satisfied with this first run, you can always touch it up with the second coat. Here's what it looks like now after the first coat. You're gonna see these little ridges right here, bumps and whatnot. You might even see a little bit of bubbling right here. Don't worry, because this is only the first coat. So just take your 4-inch or 6-inch knife and just run it along like this. If you did it really well on the first coat, you shouldn't even have to scrape so much. But most of the time, it just pretty much dries smoothly. You know, here's a line right here that we want to see that. And if you're planning to texture this whole ceiling anyways, you might just get away with the first coat, scrape it off, and then just spray it with your texture. And we're just gonna hit it up, touch it up with one final coat, which is the second coat. I think doing 3 coats is kind of too much. It's kind of like an overkill. That's why you want to do your best to do it right the first time, so that when you run it the second time with the second coat, it's just nice and easy and shouldn't take too long, and you shouldn't have to do the whole thing. The second coat is just pretty much just touch up. I like using the 12-inch knife better than the trowel, because it's a lot easier to handle rather than I know it's really up to you, but for the trowel, it's kind of bulky and it's a little weird on the angle of my wrist. That's why I like using the 12-inch knife, because of the motion of your hand. Drop a like on the bottom if you found this video helpful, and please like, comment, and subscribe, because I do videos like this all the time. Check out my other video on how I did the wall. I'll leave it on the link on this side right here, and it shows you the other method I used to do the walls using a paint roller rather than doing it by hand. But either way works. Just let me know in the comment section below what you think. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next video.